Hello viewers, today I want to talk to you about free will from the point of view of Vedanta and from the point of view of modern philosophy. Quite a lot of people have looked at this topic, and in general within philosophy in all schools, this is a hotly contested topic of discussion, whether human beings have free will or if the world is deterministic. This has always been debated, discussed among various people, various great people in fact. But of course, as it is in philosophy, all the ideas that we come up with are non-falsifiable, and hence we can reject them without proving that they are valid or invalid. But it's still interesting to just discuss these, and I want to discuss free will from the point of view of Vedanta first, and then I may touch up on the modern philosophers' views, especially those of William James and David Hume. Immanuel Kant, maybe Immanuel Kant as well, because he's the one who gave soft determinism. So anyway, so let me start with the Vedantic point of view, right? The yogic perspective on free will. And for this, I'm going to refer to this book. It's called Doctrine of Karma, written by Swami Abhedananda of the Ramakrishna Mission. Doctrine of Karma, a study in its philosophy and practice. That is the name of the book. It's pretty short. You might like it if you're into these things. Anyway, so I'm going to read out a section from this book, which is the Appendix B, and the title of the chapter is Heart and Mind. So here Swami Abhedananda tries to bring about clarity between the words heart and mind. So oftentimes we use these words interchangeably, and it doesn't really make sense what we are trying to say. So, a classic example is feel from your heart, or don't think with your mind, but think with your heart. And if you really think about it from a scientific point of view, it really is rubbish, because there's no sensory organ or any intelligence which can, neurological intelligence, separate topic, intelligence, but anyway, you can't do that from the heart. There is no emotion in the heart. So it's, what do people mean when they say the heart versus what they mean by when they say the mind? So I'm going to read probably from the end of the first paragraph here, and let's see where it goes. In psychology, you will find that mind includes heart, feelings, emotion, and everything. But when the word heart is used, we call it chitta. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God, says Jesus Christ. There, the heart does not mean the physical heart, but it refers to the feeling property of percepts and concepts. After perceiving an object, an impression is left in the mind. And this line is important. After perceiving an object, an impression is left in the mind. All these impressions that we have gained must be purified. These impressions are the causes of future desires. If we wipe away these impressions that are stamped upon mind, then the mind becomes pure. Then it gets the power of reflecting. That idea is not given in any other philosophy except the Raja Yoga. Mind is regarded as the mirror, and if the mirror is covered with mud and dirt or dust, its reflecting power would be subdued. So mind of a worldly man or woman who has all kinds of desires for the physical body and material world has received all these impressions of material nature, and they have formed like dirt or dust upon the mirror of heart. These impressions will not die out unless they are forced out, but they will retain the germs of future desires. The future desires are the resultant of our impressions of previous experiences. As for instance, if you eat a new dish that is very delicious, then after you have finished the particular act of eating, the impression of the taste will remain in the subconscious mind, and that impression will sooner or later create a desire for that kind of enjoyment of the same thing once more. And then, next time when you enjoy it, it will create another impression, and the previous impression will be strengthened by the next impression. So every time you enjoy anything or experience anything, your subconscious mind is stamped and that gets into a habit. What we call habit is but a series of impressions, and it becomes so strong that it molds our whole character, and that is our second nature. The first nature was also produced in the same way. A person becomes a drunkard or a drug addict in the same way. But these impressions or sanskaras are the obstacles that are holding us down on this plane. And we cannot get the knowledge of the supreme truth. To get this supreme knowledge, we must purify our hearts. By purification of the heart, we mean that we should rub it off with discrimination. Instead of indulging in desires, some say you should kill them. But you cannot kill them. There are certain cults that teach, kill out all the desires and make your mind blank. We cannot do that. It will be absolutely impossible to do that. We can reduce the number of desires by discrimination and not allowing indulgence. In that way, we can purify our heart or mind. So heart means the same thing as the mind, or feeling, or percept, or concept, which we have within us. So that was the last paragraph from the book. And what Swami Abhedananda touches upon is a very important thing, right? In the Bhagavad Gita, also in this third chapter, it's called Karma Yoga, the 27th verse, Krishna says, what does he say? Prakrite kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvashah ahankara mudhatma kartahamiti manyate. So in this verse, Krishna is saying that no action is truly your action. Your actions are a resultant of past events and the impressions of those events that has been left upon your mind. Basically, it falls under the large umbrella of Prakriti. That is what Krishna is saying. Prakrite kriyamanani gunaihi. So there are three modes of three gunas. We all know this. And based on these three gunas, Prakriti functions. And because of this functioning of the Prakriti, of our nature, because nature functions in a certain way, which is out of our control, things happen to us, or things happen via us. We take actions based on certain desires that are not really in our control, if you look at it. And people who, ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate, that is the second line. And ahankara vimudhatma means people who are, mudha is a sort of a derogatory term for a foolish person. So people are foolish who think that they do these actions, whereas in truth, all actions are a resultant of past impressions upon the mind. That is the summary, rough translation, if you may, of this verse. And it's sort of interesting, right? Because if you look at it, all of our decisions, all of our desires, all of our actions that we do in this world are driven by our egos. So there are two concepts again. Ego is a loosely not a very appropriate word for the occasion, for what I'm trying to say here. So in Sanskrit there are two words. One is aham, and then there is ahankara. So aham is internal. It doesn't have anything to do with the external world. But ahankara is the instrument through which you interact, through which the aham interacts with the external world. So without ahankara, basically you cannot do anything, right? So it's sort of interesting in the way that we perceive agency. So we think that we are agents with free will, and we go about our days thinking that we are doing what we do and we are independently deciding for ourselves. But to be honest, all of our desires and decisions are driven by something internal to us, and we have a range of options to select from in any given any particular situation, and then we already know the outcomes, or we already know the options, but something internally, based on our previous experiences, our preferences, our upbringing, and all of these factors, we choose one of those possible options. So in that way, we sort of have free will. Free will is soft. We wouldn't do anything unless we had these past impressions, which governs all of our lives. Now, this is also emphasized by Immanuel Kant, and then it is underlined, and in fact, William James, he coins the word soft determinism. So it's different from David Hume's determinism. So Immanuel Kant says it is possible for you to determine exactly what you're going to do in any given moment of time, in any given situation. But Immanuel Kant says that we have a moral obligation, right? We can't, if you just say that there is no free will, then why aren't people out there on the streets killing each other, en masse? So there is some sort of control that you have over your own actions, and this cannot be possible if we had no free will, which David Hume proposes. But anyway, and this is coined, this is dubbed as soft determinism by William James. And it's striking to see that there are these similarities between Western philosophies and Vedanta, that yes, we don't, at least in the natural world, there doesn't seem to be any sort of free will, but the conclusion is that we perceive free will. We perceive that free will is perceived, and everything is deterministic. We just do not know that it is deterministic because we falsely perceive that we have free will. That is the rough conclusion that I would give of these things. Yeah, thank you.